Hello there, and this is the third part of the suggestions. Well, I haven't found a name for it yet. Should have found one by now, but I haven't. My suggestions on how to change the Saurian Ancient book to increase variation in the book. Not necessarily power level or anything like that, but increase the possibility to build different kind of armies. And if you haven't watched the first two versions of the first two parts of, or maybe it's even three parts, I forgot now, then go and check it out. The first part I'm talking about the special rules they have. The next I'm talking about hereditary weapons and howdy of the devices and characters. And lastly, hopefully I can finish. Maybe I can. Maybe it's going to be one more part. Trying to make them about 30 minutes, so we'll see how it goes. But this time here, I'll try and talk about core choices. And the first one here is the Tech Warriors here, and I think it's one of the key tools to make the game, the army feel more home. I feel I've been to me when I played the Slim book, the Tech Warriors was to me the most important part of the army. Was why I started playing, because I just loved these Tech Warriors, and they were just kind of wholesome, and they had all kind of different build paths and choices you could do, and they were kind of elitish, and they were very, for me, identical. They were sort of the face of the Saurian Ancient, I felt. So I was a little bit sad that they turned into some weaker models. First of all, if you talk about the stats here, right? If you look at the stats here, 2 attacks, strength 4, resilience 4, armor 4, parry, leadership 7, minimized, right? I mean, 14 points compared to a feral logs, which is often the units that these Tech Warriors are being compared to, and they should be similar to in strength, at least in terms of strength, they should be similar. I think it's kind of weird that you pay 14 points for the Tech Warriors and you pay 8 points for the feral log. Which one of them is priced wrongly, I don't know, but I'm sure at 14 points is probably too much to pay for the stats line you're currently given here, right? I mean, after we had the updates here and the loose stone disappeared, right? The price didn't, I think it went down by 1 point, or it even went up, I can't remember. Anyway, it's still 14 point for some pretty mediocre stats. If they had loose stone, I could see myself paying 14 points for these guys. And as I mentioned, I would love to see loose stone coming back, but if it's not gonna happen, then I think they're a little bit too expensive, just in general, for the core choices. And I think we also seen it in a lot of lists. People are starting to avoid the Tech Warriors, which is a shame, because they are like iconic for this army, I think. More concrete on what I think I would like to see changes. As I mentioned, you could potentially decrease the points. I would also love to see health bars on them. I would love to see an option to take tooth and claws, and spears. So you had you could build like your Tech Warriors, and maybe even you could invent one new thing that gave them armor of 3. I'd love to play the armor of 3 Tech Warriors. The old crocodile skin was to me was one of the reasons why I really loved this army, was that you could have a 3+ armor save, resilience 4 unit in your core choices. To me, that was awesome. It would be awesome to find a way to get the potentially just allow them to take light armor. Find a way to get back a tanky Tech Warriors. Or else you could just increase the weapon choices. I mean, they could get a hand weapon, and then they could spears, and then they could get tooth and claws, I mean, and these things can just be adjusted by points. Tooth and claws, if you felt like 3 strength 4 attack with +1 to hit was too strong, then just make it 5 points. So you pay like 19 points per model for this Tag of Warriors, yes, and suddenly it seems like a fair price. More to summarize it up, more weapon options to the Tag of Warriors. That would be awesome, I feel. And the Cayman Mentors, overall I like the concept. If it was up to me, I would change this rule here. If the unit contains 1 or more mentors, the maximum number is reduced to 25. Personally, I would have gone another way around. I would have said max 35 models. 1 Cayman Mentors counts as 4. It count as one wound from a Cayman Mentor count as 1 model. So if you had 1, you could have 31. If you had 2, you could have 27. And if you had 3, you could have 24, right? And 4, you could have 4. If my math is right, you could have 20. Which just seems like a funny way, an increase in variety of how you could build your army, right? You could choose to have only 1 Cayman Elders to use it as a leadership bubble. You could have 2 to a little bit of punch, and then take it up with some more ranks, or whatever you like to, right? Increase variety of build paths, and I think that's very easy, very low fruit to take to change this rule here. Skink Warriors, obviously Tooth and Claws for the Caymans. When they can only do 3 supporting attacks, it makes little sense why they get 1 more attack. I mean, the choice here is pretty obviously that you have to go for the Hellbard. But I don't think, like, overall, I don't think I have. I mentioned it previously in the part 1 of the video and the special weapon choices here. I think Skink Warriors, if they were given access to bows, the magnetic bows, I think it will generate an interesting choice. A fight between Skink Hunters and Skink Warriors. When you wanted to build a shooty list, am I gonna go for Skink Hunters and I'm go for a little bit of both, or what am I gonna build? I think it would increase build variety to allow these guys to have the bows as well. And it's still gonna be max 25, so I don't really see a problem for it being too OP. And you could potentially, if you don't want Skink Hunters and Skink Warriors, you could just say maximum of 30 shooting weapons in core. That would be a small change, and is in regarding to the complexity budget is only when building lists. And to me, it's totally fine to have a high complexity when you build your list, because it only concerns yourself, it doesn't concern your opponent. So for me, list building should be not complicated, but have a lot of it, at least should be allowed to have a lot of complexity involved into it, because it doesn't matter for anyone else than yourself, and usually you're pretty acquainted with your own army. So short summarizing, give these guys a magnetic bows, and that would be awesome. Skink Hunters, I think they're fine as they are. They got price hicks quite often, quite frequently. Huh? Vad är det? Yeah, I don't think maybe you could remove 42 skinks on the Skink Hunters. I don't know. Find ways to make them worse. I don't know. Vad sa du? Io, c'ho tomate. Ja, det curio. C'ho tomate. Det curio. C'ho tomate. And then we have the Cayman Warriors. I think the Cayman Warriors are just currently... they don't seem too strong. They lack fighting. They lack punchy powers. If they could have a Cayman, if you could transform your Cayman Master into some sort of base change, so you can change his base to Cayman Warriors base, then you could build like a Death Star from Cause. and you could have like the Tech Warrior. You can have a choice between going Tech Warrior Star build, Star, Death Star, or Cayman Warrior Death Star. Maybe that would be too broken. I don't know. And I don't really have any suggestions on how to balance these Cayman Warriors here. I think because at the moment they're pretty not tanky, and they die pretty easily, and they lose steadfast pretty easily, and you can't put characters in there, so you can't make them better than they are, and they can't get great weapons. They can't get anything that allows them to hit hard, at least if they do hit. And if they're pretty expensive, about 55 points per model. Let me see. I don't know how much the ogres, the normal ogre bruises are per points, but I have a feeling that they're not 55 points. And plus they also get, what do they get? They have what do they have? Bruises here, so they have heavy, they have access to great. Oh, they're actually 71 points per model. I didn't know that, actually. That's decent. But I guess they're sort of similar to Tribesmen, right? Tribesmen comes at the same price. Okay, yeah, with Iron Fist, right? Yeah, okay. And the Cayman starts, the starting point is 220, but you start from 4. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good fix to Cayman Warriors. I don't think they offer something particularly well to the army. I mean, if they had strength, yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna leave them. So let's have a look here at the Tego Guards. I think the Tego Guards is probably in the best place they ever been. Only good things to say about this unit at the moment here. Maybe decrease. Nah, I just think they're in a really nice place. I think they're exactly how they're supposed to be. Yeah, no comments here. Tego Mystics. Some people, I haven't tried them out yet. Some people say they're too strong. If they're not too strong, then I like them. I think the team has made continuously efforts to try and change them into something interesting, because they were honestly not interesting from Alpha 3 from 1 to 3. They were really tame, lame, honestly a really weird thought of unit. But I think they found something really nice here which help increase build variation. Like, you can build them without the Cayman Wizard, right? And now you suddenly just have a small shooting unit on the flank. Or you can build it with a wizard, and now you have like a small unit that runs around you in the back line, trying to clear ambush units or whatever, and where you have to keep them safe, because if you put in the wizards, they're gonna get a little bit pricey. It's gonna be at least about 300 points, not close to 300 points, right? And they have a really nice access to spell selection. Yeah, so I mean, I think I like that. I like this unit here a lot. Maybe they're a bit too cheap. Maybe it should be 14-15 points per unit. I don't know. But then again, they're not steadfast, and they're easily broken in combat. They're not that tough, right? They're tough, and they have a lot of tools available, but they're not that tough. I get it. They have distraction with defensive 4, which is actually pretty nice. You can find a lot of units that hits them on 5s. And you do have 3 strength, 4 attacks, right? Paired weapons, shooting weapons. I mean, Awaken the Beast on these guys is just crazy with AP 2, strength 5 ranged weapon, right? I mean, that's really nice. Interesting unit. I like this unit, actually. I think I want to play a game with, try these guys out. Raptor pack here. Let it go. Let us have ambush. Let us have corrosive spitters in cores. If you pick minimum a unit of 10, then increase this number here to 10, and then allow us to have corrosive spitters and ambush in core. and then you will see units who uses these two rules. I mean, I think from all the list I've seen so far, I think I've seen a few ambushing units, maybe 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5. Like you can count it on one hand, and I've seen like a several hundred list, and allow them, move them to core, and allow them just move them to core and make the minimum 10. Keep them in special. Say if there's a unit of more than 10, then you can put them in core, and it doesn't matter regardless of the upgrade. I think that would be cool. Raptor Riders, I think Raptor Riders is just fine as they are. Sure, it would be nice to have the light lands here, but exchange for real lands, or maybe make them cheap or something like that. They're a little bit expensive at the moment, but I mean in general they generate an interesting choice, and they can be carriers of the Carnosaur, and they can be carriers of the Tego Veteran, and everything that can utilize, or that can capitalize on using the veteran. I'm all for. I think the more units we have there where we can put a veteran in, the more beautiful your list is probably gonna be, and the more choices you have to make when you're building a list here. Because right now the veteran is not really relevant that much. Cayman Elders, again, I will say they're a little bit expensive, but maybe that's just my opinion. I think, as I stated in the other videos, power level of this book here is probably all right. It's probably maybe a little bit above average. I don't know, but it's definitely it's probably okay. But it's just, I think that the things are a little bit expensive. So Cayman Elders, no real comments. I think they're very nice fighting units. They die a little bit easy, but they hit real hard, and they're a little bit expensive. But they have access to some really cool spells, and would be nice if maybe they got fearless, or they had fear themselves. Like, to me, why do Cayman Elders not have fear? I mean, they're pretty scary, right? It seems like a unit that should have fear, but yeah. Tower Coaches, as I mentioned in the previous part of this video series here, was that the Tower Coaches for me is also one of the part units, the core units or key units to increase build variety, because they're the carriers of hawk-dog devices, and the hawk-dog devices help you define your army on what you want to do with it, or not help you to define it, but it helps to emphasize on what you're trying to do with your army, and that's one of the and a model who can do that is always very dangerous, because it can create a very OP army, but it's also very beautiful because it puts the dot above the eye. It makes the army whole and full. So how could we help that situation? How could you make the Tower Coaches herds utilize that more? I don't know. I think keep the 200 points and give them armor +1 and 5 HP, and then just leave them as they are. So now you have like a road blocker, which they are originally intended for. Or maybe even just go back to the old rule that Tower Coaches herd that gave them stubborn when they were more than one, and they say that you can't pick hawk-dog devices if they are more than one model. That's one option. Or just go crazy with them. I don't know. They're important, I think. If you have any suggestions, and if you're still watching this video 90 minutes in, then bring forth the suggestions. I'll be happy to hear it. Ramrod Riders. Right now, as I mentioned, the Predator sensors probably need a rework. If they don't get the overall idea of the units is totally fine, I think. Like a real glass cannon hitting really hard, like to hit real hard, right? And I certainly understand the purpose in the army here, and I feel you can put them in all sort of different lists here. So I definitely think they have their place in list building, and they generate an interesting addition to your list. I think it's a nice unit, and it's a very iconic unit that you can use in a lot of different ways. Saurian swarms, as I mentioned, it would be awesome if they could, like, perhaps provide scent markers themselves, whatever, take away hard target or something, like make them a little bit more expensive, or remove the scout option here and allow them to have the scout, the scent marker here, because that would make them interesting, right? It will increase the uses you can have of this unit here. For right now, you don't really see a lot of people picking these saurian swarms here, right? Which is a shame, because I think it's a nice unit, and I could see them work. Maybe if you want to have a cheap flank, then do double up 2 times 6 on each flank, and just accept that you don't have the strongest flank, but it's a decent flank that can take down some big animals, right? You do have predator senses here. Obviously, it's only hatred now, but yeah. I mean, they have potential. Skink gorillas. Yeah, I would love to see them go down to 5 models again, but I mean, that was apparently a balance problem here. So, in the sense that 8 is the ideal number, then I'm totally down with that. I love they can get marking lure. Maybe it should be cheaper. I don't know. Magnetic bow. This is a unit where you can build it in many ways. It's an awesome unit, and you can build it in all kind of ways, which makes it virtualized, which means you can utilize it in many different ways when you build lists, and that's awesome. And it's an iconic unit for the ancient saurian ancient, and I think they're in a spot where they have always been, and it's a good unit overall. The weapon beast, after they got the new 4 attacks, this unit is also awesome, I think. Sadly, I think they're shining a little bit more than the skink gorillas here. So people are maybe more inclined to pick weapon beast here, but you can still do, like, if you want to do a big cloud version, right, you can still go skink gorillas, weapon beast, and make a lot of shooting, right. Overall, warrior weapon beast are really nice unit, strong unit, and I think they just add what they need to do to list variety. I don't really have any suggestions here. Peloton Riders is a beautiful designed unit. Leave it as it is. The dinosaur part of the book here, I mean, you can talk about balance. Maybe Carnosaur is not strong enough or whatever, but in general, I think the Strigo packs here serves its purpose. I don't have any real suggestions. There's a large cavalry you can build on the flank, right? And you can even put it on as a frontline unit. You can take 4 models and use it as a your big fighter unit here. And I mean, then you can build them in 2s, and you can build them in 3s, and you can even build them in 4s, and they also serve sort of special kind of position in your army depending on the size of them. So I think this unit here is a really nice unit as well. Yeah. Regarding it's a scoring unit, right? I think it's a nice unit. I wouldn't touch these guys here. I think they should be left as they are. Carnosaur, people say it needs to be more tanky. I'm inclined to be agreeing. I think the design of the unit is pretty nice. It generates interesting choices when you can put it with your Raptor Riders, or you can put it in your Raptor packs, which increase your build variety, right? The fact that he's pretty weak, right, with only resilience 5 and defensive 2, means he dies a lot, and he's almost 400 points. He's probably 70 points too expensive, but it is what it is. I think the unit itself, the design of the unit is nice, and I think it should be left as it is, and then point should probably just be adjusted here. The tower saw again, no comments. It's a iconic unit, works as it always has, access to how the devices. Nothing I would change. Titanic pod, again, it looks different to the Tyrannosaur. Has some interesting rules. It's obviously really strong in AP3 now. It's probably too strong at the moment, but in any case, I think it's just a nice addition to the monster part of this book here, and I wouldn't touch that either. Yeah, so there was actually not too many changes in regard to the Magna Sauria or the Gorilla Warriors here, because I think they are actually in a good place. A few changes to the Saurian swarms here. Pterocuctus herds, Cayman elders. I'm not sure how to change them, but I think they could need a little bit, some sort of change. Maybe get +1 movement or something like that, and then you take away the great weapon. Yeah. Raptorites, yeah, as I mentioned, it's a nice, fine unit. Have their niche in this army. Raptor pack, let them be cores. Let them be core if big enough. Take a misses, take a guards, interesting. Yeah, so there's not too many problems with the army, but I think the suggestion I put forth here would help increase the variation list we will see. That's what I think. Anyway, I'll cut it here. I think I made like a 1.5 talk about this army of 1.5 hours now in total, maybe even 2 hours. And whether or not I just talked a lot of bullshit, I don't know. But as I mentioned in the first video, no feedback is worse than crappy feedback, right? So I will leave it here, and you all have a good time.